I'm ready.
Okay.
Are we gonna listen to this music while we do this?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I like this music.
Alright, cool.
It's a vibe.
So, I guess I'll start it off. So, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. This book is dedicated to my good wife and comrade. My wife, LFB. What? Wait, that's this. Okay.
What?
Does she also have the initials LFB? I'm confused.
Oh no, that,
I'm gonna
or
go-
is
I'm
that
gonna Google
saying that? I think that's saying that LFB said it, right?
Yeah, but okay. Yeah,
I
you're
don't-
right. Oh, I read things out of order. This book is dedicated to my good friend and comrade, my wife. I said my good wife and comrade. I got confused. Okay. I guess I have to read too, you know, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Her name is Maud Gage Baum.
Yeah, I was.
What a
I'm just-
mouthful.
I'm being silly.
Maud
That's a
Gage
cool
Baum.
name.
L. Frank
love it.
Baum. Their kids
Maud
are Harry
Gage.
Neil Baum and Frank Jocelyn Baum.
I think Maud Gage is a really cool name.
And then their grandchildren's Jocelyn Stanton Baum, Henry Baum, Richard Baum, and Baum.
Bomb,
I
bomb,
think it's
bomb.
interesting that both
Judith
her,
Baum.
both her first name and middle name are one letter, like the first letter of each name, like one letter further down the alphabet than L. Frank Baum. I just thought about that.
I agree. I'm gonna make you a little shorter, Baljeet, because I noticed last time you were covering up some of the text.
This dude's still on.
I got a big head
Frank,
and little
you
arms.
got a big head.
He's still alive.
L.
He's
Frank Baum
86
is
years
still
old.
alive?
No, his great grandkid, Roger
Okay.
S. Baum, is
I
still
was
alive.
like, what are you talking about?
Frank Baum is still alive.
This man
Look
is
at
still
him.
alive. He's the real wizard.
He kind of looks like the guard gate in the movie.
Really?
A little bit. Just looking at him, he kind of looks like the fucking guard in front of Emerald City. A little bit.
So we were gonna read a version on stream that had pictures, but we decided at the last minute to switch which text we were gonna do because it just wasn't formatting correctly in the e-reader. But I do have all the pictures, so at the end we can see what we missed in terms of that. But let's just go ahead and you know, paint this book with our mind's eye, right? You know, that's my idea.
Do you
And then
think
we'll
he read
s-
Frankenstein?
What's that?
Do you think that L. Frank Baum read Frankenstein? Because it came out the year before he died.
Frankenstein came out the year before he died?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Because this book was published in 1899 and Frankenstein was published in 1818.
Oh, never mind. You were correct. Oh,
What is going on?
I can't with the dates and readings of things. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
I feel like I missed something.
No, I thought it was produced in 1918 for some reason. I'm completely wrong. He most definitely read Frankenstein.
I'm just wondering, has it been like a week for you, or has it been crazy? I feel like you're like all over, more all over the place than usual.
I've been watching this new anime called Delicious in Dungeon, and it's funny.
Oh yeah, that does look funny.
Sorry, I did that on purpose. I wanted to keep you on your feet. All right.
Are you Yeah, you're deflecting, so that's cool.
All right, no, we're good.
All right. I feel like I've run out of good music on this playlist, so let's find a different music. Are there any music suggestions?
I don't know.
How about just classical music for reading? That's probably good.
Yeah, can't go wrong with it. Now that we don't have to be tied to a specific period.
That's true. And tone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Folklore, legends, myths, and fairy tales have followed childhood through the ages. For every healthy youngster has a wholesome and instinctive love for stories fantastic, marvelous, and manifestly unreal. The winged fairies of Grimm and Andersen have brought more happiness to childish hearts than all other human creations. And trauma. Yet the old time fairy tale, having served for generations, may now be classed as historical in the children's library. For the time has come for a series of newer wonder tales, in which the stereotyped genie, dwarf, and fairy are eliminated, together with all the horrible and blood-curdling incidents devised by their authors to point a fearsome moral to each tale. So he's actually, like, he's acknowledging that, like, the Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen are, like, really horrible sometimes. Like, with the terror, which is kind of cool. Modern
like my eyes.
Yeah. Modern education includes morality. Therefore, the modern child seeks only entertainment in its wonder tales and gladly dispenses with all disagreeable incident. Having this thought in mind, the story of the Wonderful Wizard of Oz was written solely to please children of today. It aspires to be a modernized fairy tale in which the wonderment and joy are retained and the heartaches and nightmares are left out. This is debatable.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into it later. But you know, I feel like a story can't be a story without some sort of conflict or fear, too. You know, some sort of mortality at stake, even if it's a small bit of mortality. It's something that you know, there's got to be some sort of danger. Anyways, L. Frank Baum, Chicago, April 1900. Yeah, exactly. Something pivotal. So the Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Here we go. Chapter 1. Who's gonna start with chapter 1?
Are we gonna follow the same order as last time?
Yeah. I forget the order every time, but yeah, we'll follow that order.
Well, after you it's Bulgy, and then after Bulgy it's me.
Okay.
So
thank you for remembering.
That's the order.
All right, and then you want to do the 5 sentences again, or I mean,
for me,
at least anyway.
For me, the I don't know how it looks like for you guys, but for me, like the first paragraph is like 10 lines. Like every paragraph is about like 7 to 10 lines. So you can do it based on the paragraph.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes as it goes. So let's let's start
let's do the same
guideline.
thing. If it's 5 or less, or let's follow the same rules.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Chapter 1: The Cyclone. Dorothy lived in the midst of the great Kansas prairies with Uncle Henry, who was a farmer, and Aunt Em, who was the farmer's wife. Their house was small, for the lumber to build it had to be carried by wagon many miles. There were 4 walls, a floor, and a roof, which made one room, and this room contained a rusty-looking cook stove, a board for the dishes, a table, 3 or 4 chairs, and the beds. Uncle Henry and Aunt Em had a big bed in one corner, and Dorothy had a little bed in another corner. There was no garret at all, and no cellar, except a small hole dug in the ground, called a cyclone cellar, where the family could go in case one of those great whirlwinds arose, mighty enough to crush any building in its path. It was reached by a trapdoor in the middle of the floor, from which a ladder led down into the small, dark hole.
Yes, that's not scary at all. That didn't negate the introduction of what he said at all.
Hey kids, you like sleigh cones?
You like natural disasters? You like being caught in a natural disaster? You like living next to a thing that is impending a natural disaster?
We got a story for you.
Do you like the neighbor who hates your fucking dog? Alright. When Dorothy stood in the doorway and looked around, she could see nothing but the great gray prairie on every side. Not a tree nor a house broke the broad sweep of flat country that reached to the edge of the sky in all directions. The sun had baked the plowed land into a gray mass, with little cracks running through it. Even the grass was not green, for the sun had burned the tops of the long blades until they were the same gray color to be seen everywhere. Once the house had been painted, but the sun blistered the paint and the rains washed it away, and now the house was as dull and gray as everything else.
When Aunt Em came there to live, she was a young, pretty wife. The sun and wind had changed her too. They had taken the sparkle from her eyes and left them a sober gray. They had taken the red from her cheeks and lips, and they were gray also. She was thin and gaunt, and never smiled now. When Dorothy, who was an orphan, first came to her, Aunt Em had been so startled by the child's laughter that she would scream and press her hand upon her heart whenever Dorothy's merry voice reached her ears. And she still looked at the little girl with wonder that she could find anything to laugh at.
Uncle Henry never laughed. He worked hard from morning until night and did not know what joy was. Gray also, from his long beard to his rough boots, and he looked stern and solemn and rarely spoke. It was Toto that made Dorothy laugh and saved her from growing as gray as her other surroundings. Toto was not gray. He was a little black dog with long silky hair and small black eyes that twinkled merrily on either side of his funny wee nose. He played all day long, and Dorothy played with him and loved him dearly.
Is it me or are your first words getting cut off?
Yeah, they are
Somehow?
getting cut off. I do hear it.
Are they?
I don't know
Yes.
what the deal is with that, yeah.
Let me look and see if there's something with the filter.
Filter.
Did it get cut off again?
No, you're good. I think it's good.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. Okay.
Filter. Today, however, they were not playing. Uncle Henry sat upon the doorstep and looked anxiously at the sky, which was even grayer than usual. Dorothy stood in the door with Toto in her arms and looked at the sky too. Aunt Em was washing the dishes. From the far north, they heard a low wail of the wind, and Uncle Henry and Dorothy could see where the long grass bowed in waves before the coming storm. There now came a sharp whistling in the air from the south, and as they turned their eyes that way, they saw ripples in the grass coming from that direction also.
Wait, did we get our order?
I think we did.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
It is okay. Yeah, you started going,
Okay.
and I was like, this seems natural, I think.
Alright, you can go ahead and take the... I guess, yeah, go ahead, Fudge.
Suddenly, Uncle Henry stood up. There's a cyclone coming in, he called to his wife. I'll go look after the stock. Then he ran towards the sheds where the cows and horses were kept. Aunt Em dropped her work and came to the door. One glance told her of the danger close at hand. Quick, Dorothy, she screamed. Run for the cellar!
Okay. I guess we'll go with it's just the character acting bust you up, Baljeet.
Just a little bit. I appreciate it very much, though.
Yeah. You gotta do it for flavor.
For the kids.
Alright, so are we now Baljeet, me, you?
Yeah, let's just do it.
I'm okay with it going back to... I was gonna say, I'm okay with you doing the next one, Satil, and I can
Okay.
jump back
Okay,
in the
okay.
regular order after.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do
All
that.
right. I'm sorry. I'm very bad at order.
It's okay.
But I'm very good at knowing what the dates are that Frankenstein was published.
Hey, there you go.
So I'm good at chronological order, just not reading order. Toto jumped out of Dorothy's arms and hid under the bed, and the girl started to get him. Aunt Em, badly frightened, threw open the trapdoor in the floor and climbed down the ladder into the small, dark hole. Dorothy caught Toto at last and started to follow her aunt. When she was halfway across the room, there came a great shriek from the wind, and the house shook so hard that she lost her footing and sat down suddenly upon the floor. Then a strange thing happened.
The house whirled around 2 or 3 times and rose slowly through the air. Did my words get cut off on that one?
No, you're good.
Okay. Dorothy felt as if she were going up in a balloon. North and south winds met where the house stood and made it the exact center of the cyclone. In the middle of a cyclone, the air is generally still, but the great pressure of the wind on every side of the house raised it up higher and higher until it was at the very top of the cyclone, and there it remained and was carried miles and miles away as easily as you could carry a feather.
It was very dark, and the wind howled horribly around her, but Dorothy found she was riding quite easily. After the first few whirls around, and one other time when the house tipped badly, she felt if she were being rocked gently, like a baby in a cradle. Toto did not like it. He ran about the room, now here, now there, barking loudly. But Dorothy sat quite still on the floor and waited to see what would happen.
Bow, bow, bow. Once Toto got too near the open trapdoor and fell in, and at first the little girl thought she had lost him, but soon she saw one of his ears sticking up through the hole, for the strong pressure of the air was keeping him up so that he could not fall. She crept to the hole, caught Toto by the ear, and dragged him into the room again, afterward closing the trapdoor so that no more accidents could happen. Yeah, that's pretty rough. A strong ear.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
Yeah. You go.
Okay. Hour after hour passed away, and slowly Dorothy got over her fright. But she felt quite lonely, and the wind shrieked so loudly all about her that she nearly became deaf. At first she had wondered if she would be dashed to pieces when the house fell again, but as the hours passed and nothing terrible happened, she stopped worrying and resolved to wait calmly and see what the future would bring. At last she crawled over the swaying floor to her bed, and lay down upon it. Toto followed and lay down beside her.
In spite of the swaying of the house and the wailing of the wind, Dorothy soon closed her eyes and fell asleep fast. Fell fast asleep, but same thing.
You know.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Alright, I'm gonna start this next one.
Yeah. Wow, things are starting off real quick.
Yeah,
Mhm.
real quick. That was the first chapter, that's it.
Yeah.
Chapter 1, everybody. Alright.
I like the detail of like what it feels like to be floating in the middle of the cyclone. It's like calming but alarming, you know?
You move our body
Mhm.
like a cyclone.
And I still don't believe what L. Frank Baum said in the introduction, so
Correct.
let's yeah.
Agreed.
I feel like there's still terrible things happening. But it's fantastically terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
But she almost went deaf. That would have been a strange turn of events, I have to say.
The rest of the story, Droid did just goes, what?
Yeah.
What?
Hey.
Alright. Okay, you ready? Okay.
Continue on.
Chapter 2. The Council with the Munchkins. She was awakened by a shock, so sudden and severe that if Dorothy had not been lying on the soft bed, she might have been hurt. As it was, the jar made her catch her breath and wonder what had happened, and Toto put his cold little nose on her face and whined dismally. Dorothy sat up and noticed that the house was not moving, nor was it dark. for the bright sunshine came in at the window, flooding the little room. She sprang from her bed and with Toto at her heels ran and opened the door.
The little girl gave a cry of amazement and looked about her, her eyes growing bigger and bigger at the wonderful sights she saw. The cyclone had set the house down very gently, for a cyclone, in the midst of a country, and marvelous beauty. There were lovely patches of greensward all about, with stately trees bearing rich and luscious fruits. Banks of gorgeous flowers were on every hand, and birds with rare and brilliant plumage sang and fluttered in the trees and bushes. A little way off was a small brook, rushing and sparkling along between green banks, and murmuring in a voice very grateful to a little girl who had lived so long on the dry, gray prairies.
While she stood looking eagerly at the strange and beautiful sights, she noticed coming toward her a group of the queerest people she had ever seen. They were not as big as the grown folk she had always been used to, but neither were they very small. In fact, they seemed about as tall as Dorothy, who was a well-grown child for her age, although they were, so far as looks go, many years older.
Three were men and one woman, and all were oddly dressed. They wore round hats that rose to a small point a foot above their heads, with little bells around the brims that tinkled sweetly as they moved. The hats of the men were blue, the women's hats... Damn! The little woman's hat was white, and she wore a white gown that hung in pleats from her shoulders. Over it were sprinkled little stars that glistened in the sun like diamonds. The men were dressed in blue, of the same shade as their hats, and wore well-polished boots with a deep roll of blue at the tops. The men, Dorothy thought, were about as old as Uncle Henry, for two of them had beards, but the little woman was doubtless much older. Her face was covered with wrinkles, her hair was nearly white, and she walked rather stiffly.
When these people drew near the house, where Dorothy was standing in the doorway, they paused and whispered amongst themselves, as if afraid to come further. But the little old woman walked up to Dorothy, made a low bow, and said in a sweet voice, "You are welcome, most noble sorceress, to the land of the Munchkins. We are so grateful to you for having killed the Wicked Witch of the East, and for setting our people free from bondage."
Dorothy listened to this speech with wonder. What could the little woman possibly mean by calling her a sorceress and saying she had killed the Wicked Witch of the East? Dorothy was an innocent, harmless little girl who had been carried by a cyclone many miles from home, and she had never killed anything in all her life. But the kind little woman evidently expected her to answer, so Dorothy said with hesitation, "You are very kind, but there must be some mistake. I have not killed anything."
You're very convincing, young Dorothy.
Aw, thanks.
You have that register in your voice where it's like you can get real squeaky with it.
Yeah.
That was really good. I like
around
that.
kids all day, you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh man, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Your house did anyway, replied the little old woman with a laugh. And that is the same thing, see? She continued, pointing to the corner of the house. There are her 2 feet, still sticking out from under the block of wood. Dorothy looked and gave a little cry of fright. There indeed, just under the corner of the great beam of the house rested on, 2 feet were sticking out, shod in silver shoes with pointed toes.
Oh dear, cried Dorothy, clasping her hands together in dismay. The house must have fallen on her. Whatever shall we do? There's nothing to be done, said the little woman calmly. But who was she? Asked Dorothy. She was the Wicked Witch of the East, as I said, answered the little woman. She has held all the Munchkins in bondage for many years, making them slave for her night and day. Now they are all set free, and are grateful to you for the favor.
Who are the Munchkins? Inquired Dorothy. They are the people who lived in this land of the East where the Wicked Witch ruled. Are you a Munchkin? Asked Dorothy. No, but I am their friend, although I live in the land of the North. When they saw the Witch of the East was dead, the Munchkin sent a swift messenger to me, and I came at once. I am the Witch of the North.
Oh, gracious, cried Dorothy. Are you a real witch? Yes, indeed, answered the little woman, but I am a good witch, and the people love me. I am not as powerful as the Wicked Witch was who ruled here, or...
Or.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Sorry,
This is
my
a
mic
Chrissy
went out. The light on my mic went out. I'm not sure if you could hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you
Can you
now.
hear me now?
Or. Yes.
Oh, okay, that's where it stopped. Okay. Or, I should have set the people free myself. Wait, where are we?
But I thought, yeah, what? Huh? What? Is it me? Am I going?
Right?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, but I thought all witches were wicked, said the girl, who was half frightened at facing a real witch. Oh no, this is a great mistake. There are only 4 witches in all the land of Oz, and 2 of them, those who live in the north and the south, are good witches. I know this is true, for I am one of them myself, and cannot be mistaken. Those who dwelt in the east and the west were indeed wicked witches, but now that you have killed one of them, there is but one wicked witch in all the land of Oz, the one who lives in the west.
But, Dorothy, after a moment's thought, Aunt Em has told me that the witches were all dead, years and years ago. Who is Aunt Em? Inquired the little old woman. She is my aunt, who lives in Kansas, where I came from.
Was that me?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I guess.
I figured that was 5 lines.
Was it? Okay. Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I
It's
thought that was
going by
short.
pretty quick, yeah.
Okay,
So.
that's why I was just like, oh, that seemed a little short. Okay. The Witch of the North seemed to think for a time, with her head bowed and her eyes upon the ground. Then she looked up and said, I do not know where Kansas is, for I have never heard that country mentioned before. But tell me, is it a civilized country? Oh, yes, Dorothy replied. Then, that accounts for it. In the civilized countries, I believe there are no witches left, nor wizards, nor sorcerers, nor magicians. But you see, the land of Oz has never been civilized, for we are cut off from the rest of the world. Therefore, we still have witches and wizards among us.
Who are the... Oh, it's me, right? Yeah. Who are the wizards? Asked Dorothy. Oz himself is the great wizard, answered the witch, sinking her voice into a whisper. He is more powerful than all the rest of us together. He lives in the City of Emeralds. Dorothy was going to ask another question, but just then the Munchkins, who had been standing silently by, gave a loud shout and pointed to the corner of the house where the Wicked Witch had been lying. What is it? Asked the little old woman, and began to laugh. The feet of the dead witch had disappeared entirely, and nothing was left but the silver shoes.
She was so old, explained the Witch of the North, that she dried up quickly in the sun. That is the end of her. But the silver shoes are yours, and you shall have them to wear. She reached down and picked up the shoes, and after shaking the dust out of them, handed them to Dorothy. That's a little bit morbid there. The Witch of the East was proud of those silver shoes. Let me try that again. The Witch of the East was proud of those silver shoes, said one of the Munchkins. And there is some charm connected with them. But what it is, we never knew.
Dorothy carried the shoes into the house and placed them on the table. When she came out again to the Munchkins and said, I'm anxious to get back to my aunt and uncle, for I am sure they will worry about me. Can you help me find my way? The Munchkins and the witch first looked at one another, and then at Dorothy, and then shook their heads.
At the east, not far from here, said one, there is a great desert, and none could live to cross it. It is the same at the south, said another, for I have been there and seen it. The south is the country of the Quadlings. I am told, said the third man, that it is the same as the west, and that country where the Winkies live is ruled by the wicked witch of the west, who would make you her slave if you passed her way.
The north is my home, said the old lady, and at its edge is the same great desert that surrounds this land of Oz. I'm afraid, my dear, you'll have to live with us. Dorothy began to sob at this, for she felt lonely among all these strange people. Her tears seemed to grieve the kind-hearted Munchkins, for they immediately took out their handkerchiefs and began to weep also. As for the little old woman, she took off her cap and balanced the point on the end of her nose while she counted. 1, 2, 3. Solemn voice. At once, the cap changed to a slate, which was written in big, white chalk marks. Let Dorothy go to the City of Emeralds.
Let Dorothy go to the City of Emeralds!
Oh, is that how it needs to be said? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all caps, I guess.
Oh. It's probably better that someone else heard that too. I can't read it out loud with the baby.
It's okay. The little old woman took the slate from her nose, and having read the words on it, asked, Is your name Dorothy, my dear? Yes, answered the child, looking up and drying her tears. Then you must go to the City of Emeralds. Perhaps Oz will help you. Where is this city? Asked Dorothy. It is exactly in the center of the country, and ruled by Oz, the great wizard I told you of. Is he a good man? Inquired the girl anxiously. He is a good wizard. Whether he is a man or not, I cannot tell, for I have never seen him. How can I get there? Asked Dorothy. You must walk. It is a long journey, through a country that is sometimes pleasant and sometimes dark and terrible. However, I will use all the magic arts I know of to keep you from harm.
Won't you go with me? Pleaded the girl, who had begun to look upon the little old woman as her only friend. No, I cannot do that, she replied, but I will give you my kiss, and no one will dare injure a person who has been kissed by the Witch of the North. She came close to Dorothy and kissed her gently on the forehead. Where her lips touched the girl, they left a round, shining mark, as Dorothy found out soon after. The road to the City of Emeralds is paved with yellow brick, said the witch, so you cannot miss it. When you get to Oz, do not be afraid of him, but tell your story and ask him to help you. Goodbye, my dear.
The three Munchkins bowed low to her and wished her a pleasant journey, after which they walked away through the trees. The witch gave Dorothy a friendly little nod, whirled around on her left heel 3 times, and straightway disappeared, much to the surprise of little Toto, who barked after her loudly enough he had gone, because he had been afraid even to growl while she stood by. But But Dorothy, knowing her to be a witch, had expected her to disappear in just that way, and was not surprised in the least.
Oh man, what a chapter.
It's pretty amazing, like... Gosh, it's really... Now, this encourages me to, like, write, right? Because, like... There's so many, like, little charming elements that are just so basically put in there, but have such, like, a unique flavor to them. I really... It makes me want to write my own sort of fairy tale, like I was saying in the Discord, so... I like that.
A satale.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I'm sorry, it was bad.
Is it me?
No,
Yeah.
it is me. No,
Oh yeah, you're right.
It
You're
is
right. It's fudge.
you.
it is me. I have to find chapter 3.
You're just taking your sweet ass time.
No, I wanted to give time for reflection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So I
and
did
what-
want to say something.
And what do you reflect? And what do you reflect, Baljeet?
Why did they decide to go with a person that looked like she was grown for the movie when this is clearly like a child? You know?
Well, okay. In the context of like filmmaking of the era, right? You had the biggest star at the time in like the silent era was Mary Pickford, and she played every role whose age was like like she played little girls, she played teenagers, and she played adults. And she was like 30. So at the time it's like that was kind of like the norm. And like at this time I would say that, like, you know, the Hollywood code was in effect, and maybe they saw the content and thought, well, maybe this is not a good thing for a child actress maybe to experience, that, you know, in terms of like the censorship code, just because there's like so much peril and like trauma that's going on.
Yeah.
So maybe they aged her up to be more like a teenage sort of character instead.
Gotcha.
That's what I would think is why they went for that with Judy Garland for the 1939 adaptation. Just because I think that the Hays Code, the censorship code at the time, it just seems like there's too much danger to be putting a child into to depict on the screen.
Didn't this movie like ruin her life?
I mean, yeah, I mean, she was, you know, it's a telltale story, like, of like a lot of people who grew up in Hollywood, right? Like there's a ton of stuff that goes on beyond closed doors that, like, you know, she's basically like a teenager, and the studio kind of just controlled every aspect of her life. So that was very common back then for talent. And sad to say, it's very common for a lot of people in like the idol industry too. So
yeah,
in like in pop. So yup. There's that. There's that context for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know that context. So, I mean, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, that's what I would surmise from my perspective.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Perfect. Chapter 3. How Dorothy saved the Scarecrow. When Dorothy was left alone, she began to feel hungry. So she went to the cupboard and cut herself some bread, which she had spread with butter. She gave some to Toto, and taking a pail from the shelf where she carried it down to the little brook and filled it with clear, sparkling water. Toto ran over to the trees and began to bark at the birds sitting there. Dorothy went to get him and saw such delicious fruit hanging from the branches that she gathered some of it, finding it just what she wanted to help out her breakfast.
Then she went back to the house, and having helped herself and Toto to a good drink of the cool, clear water, she set about making ready for the journey to the City of Emeralds. Dorothy had only one other dress, but that happened to be clean and was hanging on a peg beside her bed. It was gingham, with checks of white and blue, and although the blue was somewhat faded with many washings, it was still a pretty frock. The girl washed herself carefully, dressed herself in the clean gingham, and tied her pink sunbonnet on her head. Sunbonnet. She took her little basket and filled it with bread from the cupboard, laying a white cloth over the top. She then looked down at her feet and noticed how old and worn her shoes were.
They surely will never do for a long journey, Toto, she said. And Toto looked up into her face with his little black eyes, wagged his tail to show he knew what she meant. At that moment, Dorothy saw, lying on the table, the silver shoes that had belonged to the Witch of the East. I wonder if they will fit me, said Toto. It would be just the thing to take a long walk in. It would be just the thing to take a long walk in, that they could not wear out.
She took off her old leather shoes and tried on the silver ones, which fitted her as well as if they had been made for her. Finally, she picked up her basket. Come along, Toto, she said. We will go to the Emerald City and ask the Great Oz how to get back to Kansas again. She closed the door, locked it, and put the key carefully in the pocket of her dress. And so, with Toto trotting along soberly behind her, as opposed to drunkly, I guess, she started on her journey.
Without distraction, right? You know?
Yeah, I know.
As determined as she is. Yeah.
A clear mind.
Yeah.
It was a joke. Also, Dorothy doesn't even listen. It's the city of emeralds. Hello.
Hello.
Emerald City.
Emerald City.
Gosh.
Gosh.
Stupid girl.
Doesn't listen.
No. It's just, I love the little touches that bring the whimsy, right? Like, Toto wagging his tail at her to showing that he knew what she meant. There were several... Yes, he is a smart puppy. There were several roads nearby, but it did not take her long to find the one paved with yellow bricks. Within a short time, she was walking briskly toward the Emerald City, her silver shoes, tinkling merrily on the hard, yellow road bed. The sun shone bright, and the birds sang sweetly, and Dorothy did not feel nearly so bad as you might think a little girl who had been suddenly whisked away from her own country and set down in the midst of a strange land.
She was surprised as she walked along to see how pretty the country was about her. There were neat fences at the sides of the road, painted a dainty blue color, and beyond them were fields of grain and vegetable in abundance. Evidently, the Munchkins were good farmers, and able to raise large crops. Once in a while, she would pass a house, and the people came out to look at her and bow low as she went by. For everyone knew she had been the means of destroying the Wicked Witch and setting them free from bondage. The houses of the Munchkins were odd-looking dwellings. Each was round, with a big dome for a roof. All were painted blue, for in this country of the East, blue was the favorite color.
Toward evening, when Dorothy was tired with her long walk and began to wonder where she should pass the night, she came to a house rather larger than the rest. On the green lawn before it, many men and women were dancing. 5 little fiddlers played as loud as possible, and the people were laughing and singing, having a grand old time, while a big table nearby was loaded with delicious fruits and nuts, pies and cakes, and many other good things to eat.
I like how we get a picture into how these people are living. The people greeted Dorothy kindly and invited her to supper and to pass the night with them, for this was the home of one of the richest Munchkins in the land, and his friends were gathered with him to celebrate their freedom from the bondage of the Wicked Witch. Dorothy ate a hearty supper, and was waited upon by the rich munchkin himself, whose name was Bok. Then she sat upon a settee and watched the people dance. When Bok saw her silver shoes, he said, "You must be a great sorceress."
Hi, it's the girl. Because you wear the silver shoes and have killed the wicked witch. Besides, you have the white in your frock, and only witches and sorceresses wear white. My dress is blue and white checkered, said Dorothy, smoothing out the wrinkles in it. It is kind of you to wear that, said Bok. Blue is the color of the munchkins, and white is the witch color. So we know you are a friendly witch.
Dorothy did not know what to say to this, for all the people seemed to think of her a witch, and she knew very well she was only an ordinary little girl who had come by chance of a cyclone into a strange land. When she had tried watching the dancing, when she had tired watching the dancing, Bok led her into the house, where he gave her a room with a pretty bed in it. The sheets were made of blue cloth, and Dorothy slept soundly in them till morning, with Toto curled up on the blue rug beside her.
I'm gonna say... I mean, why not be both, Dorothy? You can be both a little girl, an ordinary girl, and a witch. Yes, yes. She ate a hearty breakfast and watched a wee munchkin baby who played with Toto and pulled his tail, and crowed and laughed in a way that greatly amused Dorothy. Toto was a fine curiosity to all the people, for they had never seen a dog before. "How far is it to Emerald City?" the girl asked. "I do not know," asked Bok gravely, "for I have never been there. It is better for the people to keep away from Oz unless they have business with him. But it is a long way to the Emerald City, and it will take you many days. The country here is rich and pleasant, but you must pass through the rough and dangerous places before you reach the end of your journey."
This worried Dorothy a little, but she knew that only the Great Oz could help her to get to Kansas again, so she bravely resolved not to turn back. She bade her friends goodbye, and again started along the road of yellow brick. When she had gone several miles, she thought she would stop to rest, and so climbed to the top of the fence beside the road and sat down. A great cornfield beyond the fence, and not far away, she saw a scarecrow placed high on a pole to keep the birds from the ripe corn.
Your filter again is kind of cutting off the first words in your sentences.
Odd.
I don't know.
Nuts.
IDK. Maybe it's a Discord thing. I'm not sure. It might be different on your stream.
Ripe corn. Dorothy leaned her chin upon her hand and gazed thoughtfully at the scarecrow. Its head was a small sack stuffed with straw, with eyes, nose, a pair of lips, a mouth painted on it to represent a face, Botox injections, an old blue pointed hat that had belonged to some munchkin was perched on his head, and the rest of the figure was a blue suit of clothes, worn and faded, which had also been stuffed with straw. On the feet, there were some old boots with blue tops, such as every man wore in this country, and the figure was raised above the stalks of corn by means of the pole stuck up on its back.
While Dorothy was looking earnestly into the queer painted face of the scarecrow, she was surprised to see one of the eyes slowly wink at her. She thought she must have been mistaken at first, for none of the scarecrows in Kansas ever wink. But presently the figure nodded its head to her in a friendly way. Then she climbed down from the fence and walked up to it while Toto ran around the pole and barked. "Good day," said the scarecrow in a rather husky voice.
I said good day!
Jeez. Be patient.
Did you speak? Asked the girl in wonder. Certainly, answered the Scarecrow. How do you do? I'm pretty well, thank you, replied Dorothy politely. How do you do? I'm not feeling well, said the Scarecrow with a smile, for it is very tedious being perched up here night and day to scare away crows.
Can't you get down? Asked Dorothy. No, for this pole is stuck up my back. If you will please take away the pole, I shall be greatly obliged to you.
You had
Dorothy
a hard
reached-
time trying not to change that.
Dorothy
tell.
reached up. It's funny.
Second
You had pause before the word back, yeah.
It's funny what a little pause can do. I knew it. Dorothy
what a
reached
little
up.
pause can do.
A little pause. Dorothy reached up both arms and lifted the figure off the pole. For, being stuffed with straw, was quite light. Thank you very much, said the Scarecrow. When he had been set down on the ground, I feel like a new man. Dorothy was puzzled at this, for it sounded queer to hear a stuffed man speak, and see him bow and walk along beside her.
Who are you? Asked the Scarecrow when he had stretched himself and yawned. And where are you going? My name is Dorothy, said the girl. I'm going to the Emerald City to ask the Great Oz to send me back to Kansas. Where is the Emerald City? He inquired, and who is Oz? Why, don't you know? She returned in surprise. No, indeed, I don't know anything. You see, I am stuffed, so I have no brains at all, he answered sadly.
So that means when I eat a bunch of food, when I'm stuffed, I have no brains either. Cool.
Yeah, me too.
No brain, only pizza.
Yep.
No brain.
Ooh, I tried the pan pizza from Domino's the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It's thick.
Yeah, I know.
Good though. It's a
I remember
good
the
thing.
Pretty good.
first time. I was like, oh, I wonder what a personal pan pizza is. And when I got it, it was in the black box, and I was like, the heck is this?
Yeah. Badass.
Oh.
No, it was good. And I heated it up today on the stove. 'Cause that's
Ooh,
my new
stovetop.
thing. Yeah. That's my new trick is my dad told me to heat it up on the stove with a little bit of water.
Mhm.
And it came out nicely.
I just eat it cold out of
Okay, you can back away from the microphone now.
like a heathen.
That was
Okay.
perfect timing.
Yeah. So continue.
Where are we? Okay.
I'm
Oh.
awfully sorry for you.
Dorothy.
Yeah.
Oh, said Dorothy. I'm awfully sorry for you. Do you think, he asked, if I go to the Emerald City with you, that Oz would give me some brains? I cannot tell, she returned. But you may come with me if you like. If Oz will not give you any brains, you'll be no worse off than you are now.
That is true, said the Scarecrow. You see, he continued confidingly as he breaks out into the song. I don't mind my leg. I don't mind my legs and arms and body being stuffed because I cannot get hurt. But if anyone treads on my toes or sticks a pin into me, it doesn't matter, for I can't feel it. But I do not want people to call me a fool. And if my head stays stuffed with straw instead of with brains, as yours is, how am I ever to know anything? Just stick a fresh brain in there. Just like walks into the room. What's that smell? Jeez.
Just rotting brain
I
inside
feel
of
like,
a
rotting
straw.
brain.
it would be like very, the center of gravity would be way off. So it'd be like
I
walking
feel like that would make
his
a
head
good like
down all the time.
make a good T-shirt or like a tattoo. That kind of concept with the scarecrow with the brain seeping out.
Bro, a brain is like 3 pounds. Like he probably doesn't even weigh 3 pounds. Hold on.
Oh no, you're
Well,
doing
it
the thing again,
depends.
aren't you?
How many pounds of straw does he weigh, right?
I mean,
Just how stuffed is this scarecrow? You know,
Oh my
obviously he's
god,
built
scarecrows are fucking heavy.
to. Yeah, he's built to like stand up and shit. So
No,
I
okay,
would
so this is giving me a D&D fucking...
idea.
This is giving me a D&D, hold on. Real
Uh-huh.
scarecrow weight.
Wait, it gave you like the bestiary from D&D.
For a scarecrow. Anywhere from 5 to 20 pounds, the scarecrow is. I'm thinking it's gonna be like, so this 48-inch scarecrow on a stick weighs fucking 1.2 pounds. So that brain is definitely gonna be heavier than him.
Well, wait. So a scarecrow weighs anywhere from 5 to 20 pounds. You said.
Depending on the, I think it's depending on what kind of rod you stick it on.
Okay. Well, there's children who weigh 5 to 20 pounds and have brains. So I assume he could carry a brain.
ones that are like on the lower end of that have trouble holding up their own heads.
IDK. It's fantasy. Shut up.
You're right. You're right. Fear of the mind. Suspension of disbelief.
I understand how you feel, said the little girl, who was truly sorry for him. If you will come with me, I'll ask Oz to do all he can for you. Thank you, he said gratefully. They walked back to the road. Dorothy helped him over the fence, and they started along the path of yellow brick for the Emerald City. Toto did not like this addition to the party at first. He smelled around the stuffed man as if he suspected there might be a nest of rats in the straw, and he often growled in an unfriendly way at the scarecrow. Hiccup. I got hiccups.
Did
Don't
the
mind
hiccup?
Toto. Oh, my bad.
What?
I was starting reading, but that's why I said my bad, because you guys were talking about hiccups.
I don't know. What was he talking about?
Hiccups.
I know, but what was he talking about? What were you gonna say?
I was saying, don't mind Toto, said Dorothy to her new friend. He never bites. Oh, I am not afraid, said the scarecrow. He can't hurt the straw. Do let me carry that basket for you. I shall not mind it, for I can't get tired. I'll tell you a secret, he continued as he walked along. Only one thing in the world I am afraid of. What is that? Asked Dorothy. Chicken farmer who made you? No, answered the scarecrow. It's a lighted match.
Still don't know what Mauricio was gonna say.
Was I gonna say
Oh.
something?
Yeah, I don't know. Earlier. I said something about hiccups, and then you were gonna say something, and then I don't know.
I don't recall saying anything.
Okay. I don't know.
Wait, you know what I gotta say about hiccups?
What do you gotta say?
Toothless! Toothless!
What? Wait, I don't know if I understand the reference.
My voice might be off for trying to do the voice, though. That might be what it is.
Okay.
Have you seen How to Train Your Dragon?
Yes.
No.
Hiccup.
The main character's name is Hiccup.
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta know my audience.
I get it now. Mauricio gets it. I didn't. Alright. Chapter 4?
Okay. Let's see what
Richville
time.
City theme starts.
Ooh.
Isn't it you, Mauricio?
Yes, I'm starting another chapter. Chapter 4. How far are we going today, guys? Are we just gonna go to the end of
that's what I was
chapter
gonna
4?
say.
Yeah, I think we
It's
can go to the end of chapter 4.
11:53 for me,
chapter.
and I gotta be at this school at, like 7:15 tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we
Do we
can...
want to just call it here? Because it's almost midnight for you.
I mean,
What do you say,
I'm okay with
Bob?
calling it here, or like let me see how long this chapter is, because these are like chapters.
Pretty short, yeah.
A bit longer, but I'm also okay with calling it here because I know we like, have like little conversations afterwards. I don't want to be the party pooper, but I also want to like leave room for
Yeah, no,
us
like
to
you
read
just
with,
said, you have to be somewhere 7:30, and for you, it's like 5 minutes to midnight.
Yeah.
Yes. So we shall
Yes, I wanna-
continue next time. I bookmarked it.
I'm gonna go ahead and in here because I don't know how long it would take me to raid because my computer is being goofy with all that stuff.
Oh, I'm gonna end stream when you end the stream. So I'm done.
Okay.
So who are we rating?
Let's see. Who is on?
Mandy is still on?
Oh yeah, let's rate Mandy.
Is Mandy still on?
Great question.
I actually, I don't know. I don't see her. What the fuck are you humming back there, man?
Dun dun dun.
So hold on, there is someone named Evil Lil Lad that they're friends with Mandy too.
Oh yeah.
And they do art streams and stuff. I don't know. Are you friends with them?
No, but I know the name.
Yeah, I think
Dubious.
it might be a.
Dubious
Is
is on,
Dubious
yeah.
streaming right now too?
Yeah, Dubious is streaming.
Yeah, either one of them. I think that would
Last
be fine.
Bible 3.
Yeah, that's like
What?
a Shin Megami Tensei spin-off.
Wait, Dubious has a profile pic of one of the robots from Mean Bean Machine.
Yes. I'll rate who you rate. So I'll rate Evil Lad.
Wait, so
Then
I'm
I never
actually
rated them.
we're going over to you first. If depending
Oh.
on if this computer thing works.
I
Okay,
still
we're doing
can't
better.
believe that Lawrence Fishburne was Cowboy Curtis.
I can.
I can't. I saw him in like really like awesome like action films, you know, Matrix and
Yeah,
whatnot.
but his best costume was Cowboy Curtis.
Cowboy Curtis, yeah. Later on, I knew that, and I was like, my God. You know, growing up, I always thought that Alan Cumming and Paul Rubens was the same person.
I could see that.
Like even just now, like right now, I make the distinction, but like. Like a dragon, infinite wealth. What is that?
What?
Go over to Oni Koga.
Oh yeah.
Look at that screen cap, infinite wealth. I know that just came out. It's Year of the Dragon, so all the other
Yeah,
Yakuza
that's like
stuff's
one
on
of the
sale.
RPG ones, yeah.
My God.
So wait, are you rating me, Baljeet? I know.
Did it work? Did it work?
Did it work? I don't have a.
Do we have,
It's taking
I haven't been rated.
do we have any viewers?
its sweet time, whatever's going on with it.
Baljeet
I think
rated.
Yeah.
Buljit rated. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, that is
What?
one hell of an ingrown toenail.
I don't want to know about that. You're like unhinged tonight.
Ah! 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 They're cutting
Okay.
into it. Ah!
Stop.
Oh no. No.
No, the video that I'm going to show you tomorrow is a lady who had like 23 contact lenses stuck in her eye.
No, stop. Okay, we're rating someone. Wow, wonderful Wizard of Oz was really whimsical. I loved it. I can't wait to read more of it.
Oh my goodness.
What is going on, man?
Alright, I
You're
just
like
sent you the
on-
name in the chat on Discord.
You're like crazy tonight.
Crazy hamburger.
Crazy hamburger.
Crazy hamburger.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like I should be
Okay.
scared.
Yeah,
You feel
you should be. I'll send you crazy hamburger after this.
Oh my god. Alright, I'm going to vacate before I say anything else crazy. Alright, good night, you
Alright.
two.
This
Good
was
night.
fun.
It was fun, as always.
I will see you tomorrow, and then I will
Alright.
speak to you throughout the week, Buzzit.
Sounds good.
Alright,
Okay.
goodbye.
Good night,
night,
all.
Hey, same thing. Cool. Okay. Okay.